Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, let's go ahead and take a peek at just kind of like looking at what's going on with them, whoever they may be. This is kind of, intended to be a peek at someone who would be possibly a love interest or just kind of like what they're thinking about this whole situation, whatever the sitch is. So let's start. What's going on with them? They're in a possibly a silent mode of healing. That could be terrific. Catching one's breath, getting some rest. Hi, the light. Great to see you, love. To EM, hey, hey. To have somebody who's in the silent mode, that could be really good. Anishta, hi, babe. We got a 5 of Cups here. Quiet, withdrawn, healing, definitely experiencing the feelings of loss. I feel like this is somebody who, even if they are not asleep, they lay down sometimes because this is a really tough time for them. They are feeling a tremendous amount of loss at the moment. So great to see you guys today. Happy Sunday, everybody. We got a 6 of Pentacles. It's the loss of the equal give and take that used to be there. Okay. So they're in silence, and I thought, well, this is good, though. They're healing. But instead, it almost looks like they are a little consumed with the feeling of the loss of what was. This hand, it looks like it would be somebody who's reaching in to give a pentacle to balance the scales, but this could be the hand that's reached in and taken something away, and they are feeling that loss. What, from their perspective, what do they believe happened? What created this sense of loss and sorrow? 2 of Wands, that somebody went down the wrong road. Somebody went down the wrong avenue, went down the wrong path, took the wrong gate or wrong exit. And it's like they know exactly when things went the wrong direction. Now, it could be that they failed or somebody failed to walk through those doors. Like there was a moment in time where we could have gone here, or we could have paused, or we could have gone right, left, or stayed where we were, or retreated. And the wrong decision was made, but it was definitely a moment where a decision was made. We have an 8 of Wands also. 8 of Wands. Oh, I'm going to say that a pause was taken instead of that forward action. It's like if only I had spoken words at that one moment, but instead I didn't, or they didn't. Why was there a pause? That 2 of Wands can be when somebody gets stuck at the crossroads and they don't make the move. 9 of Coins. This could have been somebody who said, I would like to stay single. And if that's what they wanted to do, they wanted to stay single, then they probably made the right choice for themselves. However, it did cost them the relationship. It cost them having this person in their life. But I mean, if somebody says, well, I want to be single, then that is what's going to happen, right? Because you said, I don't want to give. Maybe this person was hoping that they could receive without having to give. I don't know. What were you hoping for in the past? You said that you wanted to be single, and now it seems like they wanted to go after something that they were passionate about. And maybe they thought they needed to be single to do that. But here's the thing. If that's what they needed to do at that point in time, and there was a reason that they did not want to move a relationship forward, they wanted to be single, they had way more intention, passion, desire for some other pathway in their life. Let me see, what was that other pathway? Emperor. I mean, they could have been all about business. They were like, no, I am moving up in this company. I'm going to become major CEO. I don't want relationship. I can move faster if I'm, I guess, single and only going after my career. The thing is, this says in their mind, that was epically wrong. They left somebody behind in lieu of their success or their perceived desire to like rise in the ranks and have this super powerful, position in life. They feel like that was the wrong choice. They're the ones who said, and I did an injustice there. I did the wrong thing there. Okay. Yeah, the devil. I was like one track minded for the lust for power. I mean, I guess we could say, even though we don't see them going after another person, maybe they said, oh, I had a chance to be in a power couple where I thought I was going to, be in a relationship with somebody who was super powerful. The only reason I bring that up at all is because we do have two people here that are super toxic. I mean, maybe they thought they were going to ladder climb and become super famous if they stayed single and then had the chance to meet somebody that had, great wealth, great power, and they could like marry into that. I don't really see that though. It's just that the Emperor can oftentimes be a person who's looking for a long-term connection, or they're looking to like run an empire. They're questing for, like I want to be somebody. And this says that they were very, very in the mindset that I need to be single. So I'm not going to move a relationship forward with this person because I need to stay single so that I can very intentionally pursue this other great wealth or this, perceived tremendous status that I can achieve. But that is where we have this toxic energy. That is where we have this person who ends up saying, I didn't do right. I chose to not go down the road of a relationship. With the Queen of Cups. Okay, so they are definitely lamenting that they chose a career path over love and fame because they say it was a toxic choice that I made. I craved power. I lusted after power. It wasn't love that, that pulled me forward. What was that moment in time? Because, the distinction was they either could walk through that gateway or not. But if they chose not to, obviously, if they had walked through that gateway, if they had moved toward the person that Queen of Cups, if they had moved toward that Queen of Cups, they know that that's the choice that they would have had to have made. Instead, they lost her because they didn't choose her. Okay, so they thought if I moved toward her, we'd get married, but then you know what? This could be somebody that they'll hamper me, or even they had a fear like marriage. Maybe they were married before and it didn't work out well, and it's like the last thing I want to do is get married to somebody because then you commingle your finances and then they have a lot of power and control over you financially, and I don't want to be in a relationship with somebody who's going to have any kind of power over my finances. Page of Wands. So they really I think that they talked themselves out or convinced themselves, if I go toward that Queen of Cups, who is nothing but gentle and kind, she would then have a powerful hold over me, particularly when it comes to my resources and revenue. And that could reduce me down to somebody who has a dream, but I can never make my dream happen. So they chose to be single instead of get involved in especially a committed relationship. And I can only think that they must have, been like really, that's old saying, once bitten, twice shy. I don't want to be in a relationship because I know how much somebody can control you if you marry the wrong person, or if you get really deeply involved with somebody and it turns out that they're going to do you dirty. And it does seem like they got, very turned off by relationships because of that. I'll be left with nothing but a dream and no way to make it happen. Yeah, so they actually went ahead and made a calculated decision. Yeah, I'm okay closing this chapter. I'm not going to move toward, because it was definitely a relationship where it was like they needed to either make the decision to move toward that Queen of Cups and offer something, or leave her and close that door and not even communicate with her anymore. And they chose to actually put a lid on this, put the nails in the coffin. So it was definitely like, this is the moment that they diverged. Now, here's the problem. I don't know what has happened. I shouldn't say here's the problem, other than this looks like a pretty big problem since we started out with them in a tremendous amount of grief, kind of like even unable to sleep, laying there reminiscing about this incredible loss. What happened? So you closed the chapter. In that moment, you knew that you either move toward the Queen of Cups and you develop a relationship with her that's going to go somewhere, or you choose to close that chapter with her and say, no, I'm all in for my career. And they chose the career path. And then what happened? In this storyline, everything went up in smoke. In this storyline, I almost feel like almost immediately things went to hell. To see this tower, something collapsed in their life, something I almost think that in a weird way, if they were aware that that was painful or something for that Queen of Cups, they felt the pain of that too. And it immediately started to impact them. It's like, I just made the wrong decision. I know I made the wrong decision. And it almost feels like their big plan, emperor, driven to be super successful, going to find power. It's almost like because they kind of didn't make the choice that maybe their heart actually wanted to, but instead they shut down a really great Queen of Cups, and also kind of gave this maybe mistaken assumption, apply this mistaken viewpoint of like she'd probably just take my money and control me anyway. We only saw her as a Queen of Cups, somebody that was really loving. So maybe that's the other reason. I mean, they're the ones saying I made like a very critical mistake. I did something that was wrong. And I'm wondering if part of what they did wrong here was in saying something unkind, applying like somebody who had only been generous and said, yeah, but you know what? She's probably going to control me. But all you'd received was generosity. That's a mean thing maybe for someone to do, to assume that or apply that to somebody who hasn't earned that title. All I can say is that they feel like they got some kind of karma because the bottom dropped out of their big plans almost as soon as they took this step. And I don't think that they were confused about the fact that I think I just did something really wrong. 7 of Wands. They all of a sudden encountered hurdle after hurdle. This is how we overcome struggles. And they thought that they could still, okay, so I dumped the Queen of Cups after assuming kind of unfavorable opinions about her that weren't true. And then I turned my attention in this different direction, but because I'm going to be super successful, only I'm not getting the success. And I have this inkling in the back of my mind that all of these successful things that I thought I was going to chase after, nothing's panning out, one after another. It's actually like everything's going up in smoke. But no, I can still make this work. This is just a little bit of a hurdle, but I'm going to be that famous, powerful emperor. I can still make this work. I'll just bend those bars. I'll shimmy on through. I'll manage to do this. We have the King of Wands. They, gave themselves a good old pep talk. No, I'm on fire for this. It's going to work. Okay, maybe I can't be the emperor, but I can be a King of Wands. Like I can totally go for it. This is going to work. The Chariot to the 5 of Pentacles. And I almost think that the more because they had to immediately downgrade whatever their big plan was, whatever they sacrificed the Queen of Cups for, and then started to pursue this other big, huge, like, I don't know, their big, huge plan, it immediately had to be like downshifted. But then after that, there's this vibe of, okay, so I downgrade, but then I'm still pursuing something, but there's blockages. But I'm moving forward, but all of a sudden it doesn't have the same flavor. It doesn't feel very fun. In fact, I kind of feel like I'm moving further and further away from what my plans were. I know I'm moving further and further away from that Queen of Cups. I feel like they started to lose support. They haven't met somebody else to like love. I don't even think they were looking for somebody else to love. I just think that there's an emptiness. Maybe this is even because I'm hearing like an echo, like someone moved out. I don't know if they were living with this Queen of Cups, and then this is the point where it was like, okay, I'm gone. I'm the Queen of Cups maybe diverged and said, I'm leaving. But as she moves out, as she leaves their life, that echo in that empty space now seems pretty loud. There's something here about either, this is the point where their lives go separately, And whatever warmth she had given them, which was probably a lot, the emotional support, obviously they haven't had a dose of it in a while. They're getting further and further away from her. She's really in the rear view mirror. They're the ones who broke it off with her. They're the ones who let this thing go. And when you move away from something that was warm, supportive, and loving, sometimes you don't realize what you're missing out on until you've moved so far away from it that now it's not snuggly and warm. Like you maybe didn't know just how much she was keeping away the coldness. I'm picturing like, like when kittens like sleep together in a little lump and they share each other's warmth. And then if they separate off and one thinks that they're going to go sleep someplace else, it's not too long before they're meowing and they want their brothers and sisters to come and sleep in a lump with them again. Like that's what I'm picturing. Like oh gosh, I was really cozy when I was beside you. I didn't know that that's where the warmth was coming from. Now without you in my life, without your voice, without you to talk to, this is not so much fun after all. But now what do? It's already too late. I cut it off. I didn't want this connection. I wanted to go be an emperor. So the allure, the I'm going to be this fancy thing, when it started to fall short and now they had to downgrade, it's okay, I'll still be successful as a King of Wands. And then the further onward they go, seeking that success, that this was a very intentional thought. And I don't know if they were just craving money or power, because the devil was there. I'm guessing that it was probably power, a craving for power. That seems to be something that, as it's not working out, it's really not working out. It's really coming across as it's getting lonelier and lonelier. Now we've got the Hermit. And I'm almost thinking that although they're feeling lonely, the further she's in the rear view mirror, and this could be like as months pass or days pass or years pass, the more it's in the back of our character's mind, the further away she is, the longer it's been since he's last heard her voice or talked to her, the more lonesome their path is, and the more inaccessible she seems, and the more she's kind of like definitely the one that got away, but she's almost becoming like mythical in their mind. Thank you so much. Samanita, you angel. Thank you so much, honey. You are so kind. I so appreciate you. You're so kind. Aries says thank you too. We have a 3 of Cups upright. Now all of a sudden, you notice how their mind has shifted. They were going to become an emperor. Now they were going to pursue life as a King of Wands. Now instead, their mind turns more and more and more to the person they left behind. More and more to, this is super lonely. More and more to, what I would really rather have is a relationship. I'd rather have somebody to come home to. I'd rather have somebody to grow with. My thought though is, why did you think that you couldn't have had this amazing relationship and grown when all she ever was a support network to you? She was giving you love. Why did you assume, oh no, she'll probably take from me? Why did you apply that to her is I guess what I wonder. The Fool. And it might just be, I was a fool. I just, for whatever reason, I got all jazzed, all excited about some other path in life. And I was like, oh gosh, don't want to have a relationship. I'm going to go be famous. But how come you didn't think of being an emperor and being powerful and wanting her by your side? I'm sorry that I got to ask that question, but because it sounds kind of rude, I know, but 9 of Pentacles, 8 of Pentacles, their personal claim to fame was really what they wanted. They wanted to make their mark in this world. Now, this could have been like, sometimes in life we say, I have to prove myself. And to a certain extent, we all have to do stuff just so that we can walk with our heads held high, right? We all go after a talent or a hobby or a career path or something in life, something that it's like, I want to become good at this. I want people to know my name for this. Some people have more of that drive than others. Some people are like, I have to be I have to be the best of the best. I have to be famous, whatever it takes. Other people are like, oh no, I just, I have this talent. I like to do it. It feels good that, people like what I do, but it doesn't come at a cost of, other relationships in their life. But this person seems to have had this drive, like, I have to prove that I am somebody. And so that we could say maybe that's their ego talking. And I don't mean to say it in a rude way. We all have ego, and we all have a need to, like, feel like we there's stuff that we do well. But it does look like this was a primary drive. And this character kind of wanted no one else to stand next to them on the podium when they reached their success. They didn't want to be able to say, oh, I have this great partner who's been a big support to me. And their acceptance speech of their awards that they maybe imagined they would be accepting at some point in their life, they didn't want to thank anybody, but their own hard work and their intentions, this, and I don't mean that to sound rude. It just seems like this person's like, it's my life's work. I did this alone. Maybe this is them wanting to be the best version of themselves. But it does seem like they pushed away somebody that would have been a big success to them or a big assistance in this quest for a better life and greater success. We've got the Page of Pentacles sideways. I don't know if they thought maybe once I reach this pinnacle on my own, then maybe I'll start connecting to somebody again. They really pushed away, I think, everybody. I feel like this is a character who was like, I don't want anybody around me right now. I just want to go after my success. Once I reach that, then I will decide who I talk to and decide who I give my energy to. But obviously none of that has worked out. And now it's become this very lonesome road. Universe, do you want to weigh in for this person? It's interesting because, they could have gone out and had a tremendous amount of success, and they could have still ended up just as lonely. But in this storyline, they didn't even get the success. Ironically, the universe is like, oh man, you met the one. You met a Queen of Wands. You met somebody who in her own right was going to become super famous, and you didn't know it. She's a 1 in a billion. And in amongst all these other stars, all these other lit, lights that fill this scene, she's a 1 in a billion. And you met her, but you didn't realize she wasn't some Queen of Cups that was just there to love and to serve you, who then was eventually going to be like, well, I want to latch on to you and hold on to you. She's a Queen of Wands, expects everybody to kind of pursue their own thing. And she's got her own swagger, and she's got her own mind and her own spice and her own things that she'll be super invested in. She's probably, if they were thinking that a Queen of Cups would somehow not support them in their career, or would support them but then also be some kind of an anchor for them, I can't be around somebody so emotionally loving because it's going to hold me back. First off, they got her all wrong. She might have been really loving and really passionate, but she's also, a Queen of Cups wouldn't hold anybody back either, but they were even wrong about their assessment of her, is what the universe says. They met somebody who's a 1 in a billion, who will be a star in her own right, who is already slated for that. Anything that she does, she is somebody who rises in her own environment. And it's so funny because the quest that they were on for some kind of fame, ironically, she's the one who will have it. But for some reason, they thought she was this kind of quiet, uber loving, sensitive, softer energy, when she's actually a freaking, firework. She's dynamite. So they got her wrong also. And ironically, she's the one who's going to be having success in her life, which is the success they were seeking, that they were hungry for. And they walked away from her. In many ways, I think this is hinting that if they had stayed with her, they would have had the success that they were seeking. She would have been the one who possibly would have launched them into greater stardom. And they didn't know it. They had to go make their success without her, and certainly without her holding them back. They got this completely wrong. So tough message on this one for them, because this is over. They walked away from her. They ended this with her. And the universe is like, you walked away from the 1 in a billion. You didn't see her, truly see who and what she was. You misunderstood her. Look, she's living a great life with this 9 of coins. She truly may have success in money. She may have success and creature comforts. She may be in a very like relaxed environment. She's in her satin pajamas and laying on blooming roses. I feel like she's got a pretty cush life at about this point. Let me go back over here. I mean, this is just the universe saying, hey, just so you know, in kind of in a cold and more calculating way, shoving somebody aside who was nothing but good to you and insisting that you were going to go, they were going to hold you back and you had to be super famous. You actually pushed away the person who would have launched you, and the person that, ironically, she has all the things you went out seeking. So when we go back over here to them right now, that beginning part of this story where they're feeling a significant loss, universe, weigh in on that. The Hermit, they are in a place where they became isolated of their own doing. Their set of choices got them to where they are. But the Hermit is a good journey to take because it's where we think about things. And they have the head of the Coyote. And the Coyote is the great trickster. We see this person somewhere out in the middle of, well, it's beautiful. This looks like Bryce Canyon to me, which is just gorgeous. But they seem to be out there in the middle of Bryce Canyon. And we have them holding a key on one hand. And then we have them holding the pentacle on the other hand. And it's a little bit like they had to first come to this full conclusion. Like, I have stalled out. I made the wrong turn a long time ago, and I made it for the wrong reason. And I tricked myself into thinking somehow, you got to go single and chase money, and you can't do love and money. And, there's something about how they had to prove themselves to themselves when maybe they just needed to do a little bit of inner work. But the universe is like, look, you got the car key, though, or the key of knowledge, a key that unlocks your heart, the key that could start your car and drive you maybe back to who you need to go see, or that could drive you forward in life. You don't have to stay out here now that you've learned this lesson, now that you've done this hermit's journey. So what is it that you'd like to do? You can do whatever you wish, but when you have the knowledge, and they certainly have the knowledge, yikes, but we saw the Chariot in the reverse. They're still sitting here stalled out. And so ironic that we have this big old, I don't know if that's a Chevy, but we'll say it is. But it's in the reverse. The fact that we have this person who is still in this hurt and pain, and they're laying here and they're feeling all this, and it's stressing them out. The universe is just saying, well, when you figure out where you want to go next, you can do it. If you haven't come to that conclusion yet of what your next action is, and maybe it's just because they are still mulling over this. They're even here, the fact that they're laying here and they're feeling the loss, and they're honing in on what is it that I'm missing. I'm missing the fact that that person is no longer in my life. They actually added so much value to my life, and here I pushed them away thinking they would somehow hold me back, and I had to go be successful alone. Well, now I'm alone. It doesn't feel so damn successful, but they still have a little bit maybe to sort out, is what it says with that Chariot in the reverse. They might still be sitting in the timeout chair, in the universe's timeout chair. 6 of Wands. In this is her standing here, and I have to cover this card because it's a fairly suggestive card. But it's ironic because, again, the universe is like, you also don't want to be jealous of her successes. If you're realizing she's reached heights of success, because we've got like this ferocious little cheetah who's eating a gazelle, and then instead of where her head should be, and then she's holding money here, and there's this, like, she's not dressed on the bottom half in this, so there's a sensuality here. It almost hints that if their next hurdle is she's so successful, she knows how to go after money, and now everybody wants her, and she's really successful. If their mind shifts over to like any element of jealousy, or they go, well, now I can never go toward her because first I pushed her away because I was going to go out and be successful. Instead, joke's on me. She's successful. Now everybody wants her, and now I can't go back to her. I think the universe is like, okay, then you got a whole nother layer of things to work on in yourself, is what this looks like. Of course, you're not going to go back toward her if you're thinking that she was way more driven than you. They keep putting everything in this context of seeking money, power, and fame. I don't know that it looks like they've changed very much. They miss her. They know they made the wrong choice, but then they're still applying that same, I'm going to say, like, kind of like lack mentality and that hunger that they feel. And they're like, she has all this success. Well, now I can't go toward her because look at how great she is. And everybody wants her. I think they're missing that whole thing about love, you know? I think that they're missing the whole component about love. King of Swords. Yeah, they've got some more thinking to do. They could be a Libra, Gemini, Aquarius. Maybe a lot of worth in their family was always placed upon, like, you know, how much money can you amass? How nice of a house can you own? That's what you have to focus on in life. And unless you can live in a castle, then, you know, you can't have love. And I don't know, this just feels like, even here it's snowing. There's always such a cold, calculating energy. They're missing her support. They're missing her, but they keep bringing it back to like a monetary level of success. And the reason now they have to stay away from her is because, you know, they've got to find this kind of success before they can match with her. Okay. I don't see them coming toward her anytime soon. I just see them finding another reason to kind of make themselves a bit miserable and realizing that they did the wrong thing. They didn't choose the right person. They didn't choose anybody. They chose success, which they didn't find. But now they feel blocked from coming toward her because she's more successful than they are. One more card on that King of Swords for me. Eight of Wands. This is them leaving, going further away. Still, I got to go out and find my success, my destiny. I mean, maybe there's something about her that has inspired them. Like, you know what? She's ended up being really successful, and I miss her. I wish I could be with her, but I blew it, and now I still didn't have my success, so I got to keep seeking it. That is unfortunately the way this looks. I don't see them turning around and coming back, oh, I want to be with her. I see them still moving away. And that's unfortunate, but if that's where they're at, that's still what they value the most, is wealth and status. You know, this whole storyline, never did they choose love, and never did they see love as the most valuable thing. And even now at the end of the story, we still don't see that. We see them being very clinical minded. We see them missing her. We see them in sorrow, but we don't actually see love at any point. We don't see them saying, I love her, I miss her. We see them saying, I miss her. She has a ton of success. I never found that myself. I'd like to have companionship with her, but we didn't ever see a bunch of cups, except they knew that she loved them. So this is the only place that we saw the cups, right? They would like to receive love from her, but I don't know that they have the same mentality about love. Well, as it stands here, her life has changed dramatically. She's having success. She'll probably continue to have a lot of success. She may keep rising as a star. She may be somebody who continuously grows and glows. Considering we saw her as that Queen of Wands, it was like a 1 in a billion. She is somebody who will make big waves in her lifetime. Even though I don't see her as setting out to do that, I just think that that's kind of the path that her life is taking. But I really feel like that's it. That's she's moving on and moving up in life, and they are not returning to her. Can we get one card about what's going on for her? We've got the King of Wands. There is, and this says peace for all. There is some kind of romance on the horizon for her. She's a Queen of Wands going to match with a King of Wands. She will be a part of a completely different power couple. And she may be involved in things that like make the world a better place. She may find a romantic partner and they will do good works that bring about peace, equality, justice. I kind of think she's on a different path. What she maybe craves in her life is first off, being passionate about things she genuinely cares about, but that leads her to somebody who's matches her own heart. But then together, this isn't about craving fame. This is about like, hey, can we do good stuff with our energy? Can we create a greater sense of peace and harmony in any area of life? So she's got kind of I think she's meant to be with this person, somebody totally different than that original character. So I think it's a good thing that these paths diverged at the end. All right, you guys, I'm going to leave this one here. So good to see you. Yes, we will get to ophiuchus later on tonight. I'll be gone for a few hours tonight, and then I will get to ophiuchus. We also I'll get to almost all the zodiacs tonight still when I get back. But you guys, thank you for being here. And I love hearing that you look forward to ophiuchus. I'll move you guys up in the lineup, okay? I will do ophiuchus as soon as I get back later on this evening, okay? So thank you guys. Voyager 2, Delinda, thanks, honey. Annie S, yes, Aquarius will be right after ophiuchus. Hi, EM, thank you, honey. Rare Lestrange, have a great day. Danny D369, hey. Ken Ramey, great to see you. Hi, Violet. Metal Q. Thank you, Metal Q. You're so sweet. Thank you. M. Abdu, yes, we will get to ophiuchus tonight for sure. Hallelujah. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you guys for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. It means the world to me. It really helps the channel. Rebecca Junkie, great to catch you, hon. Happy June 1st to you also, love. Sonia, shout out to you in Portugal. Voyager 2. Hey, darling. Tammy Secord. Victoria Rose Noir. It's time. Zamanita, thanks again. No, I think all doggies are brothers and sisters, just like all humans are brothers and sisters, right? I think it's the same. I think that we're all sharing this rock together. We have way more in common than we'll ever have not in common. So I genuinely do think human beings we're relatives. Mary Jones, happy Sunday to you too. Hi, Jazzy B. Nor A. D. Rogers, Mad Hatter. You're so sweet, San Juanita. Thank you. Ashriza Ali, great to see you, love. Delinda, you're so kind. Mind candy, I love that. Thank you. Jessica Rios, Carmen. Wonderful to see you, Carmen. Yeah. Emily, thank you for being here. I'm delighted you made it. You have a hula performance. Ah, wonderful. Oh, you'll do amazing. Hula is so beautiful and so like I took a hula class once and I had done belly dancing for many years. Hula was like a whole different ball game. I felt like it was so elegant and so much more like I had to really, really like focus and learn how to move my hips in a completely different direction than the hand movements. Oh, it's so elegant. You're going to be great. Have a great time. I know that I am like clapping for you. Courtney Jade. Hi, honey. Cheryl Lynn. Hey, darling. Marie McMillian. Wonderful to see you. We're doing great. So nice to catch you, love. Embracing the Empress Power. Hey. Thank you, Renee. Right back to you. Selene. Hi. Annie S., thank you. Hi, Monique B., Robin, Stevette, Des021, excuse me, 0021. Still blessed. Violet, always great to see you. And Robin, I really appreciate you popping in. And the light, of course, you were the first in the house. All right, you guys, I will see you later on this afternoon. Bruce Reed, hi. Yes, ophiuchus. I will probably be back for ophiuchus somewhere around, probably be closer to like 7 o'clock tonight, Pacific Standard Time. So I know it's kind of late if you're on the East Coast, but it'll probably be right about 7-ish, okay? Decoded, Champersing 79. Ah, Wendy, that's wonderful. I love that, Wendy. Shifting from a belly dancer to a songwriter, that's beautiful. I bet you got the rhythm, girl. That's what I loved about belly dancing. I love music and I loved the Doombek. I loved the rhythms. Give me some Belody, some Shiftatelli, some Karsalama. Karsalama was always a challenge for me. But on that note, now this is in my head, Beats Antique did a blend with Nova from Philistine. There is a track that is like it's Colony Collapse, but they did like a mashup. It is so fabulous. Oh my gosh, so fabulous. And I'm going to have to go listen to that. All right, Bruce, awesome. Then I'll see you around 10 p.m. Eastern time. Hiya, great to see you. Peace and love to you also, sweetheart. I love that. San Juanita creating a dog sanctuary. I love that. All right, you guys. Lots of love. I'll see you later. Bye. I see Violet votes for Pisces. All right. We'll do Ophiuchus, Aquarius, and Pisces in that order, and then we'll throw in whatever else I can still get to later on tonight. All right. Bye, guys.